Hey everyone, this video is a 2016 goals to accomplish in these last few days of 2016. Those are ongoing. But first, my name is Richoni. Shout out to the water protectors, Long John Gonzalez and High Horse, who on December 25th set out from Standing Rock, North Dakota, with a mission to Flint, Michigan, to deliver water to the governor's residence. And also notice that bank exit is now $35 million. No dapple. Amazing people. Amazing people driving all that way to Michigan to deliver some fresh water for Flint. Water protectors. High Horse and Long John Gonzalez. Wow. So here's my list of goals to accomplish in these last few days of 2016. Number one, and these are no order. These are in no order. These are just, I wrote them down, made some notes. Nothing too descript, just things to do. A little list of things to do. Number one, transform Anomalous rule. And by that, pretty much it's like world hunger's going on, world wars, we're talking about a new nuclear arms race. It doesn't make sense. It's kind of an anomaly how backward our society is going with all these new toys we have. And so, number one, in the next few days, transform the anomalous rule over the planet. And that goes into number two, control the climate. Climate change is a threat to humanity. The argument is that the climate is always changing and that's why it's not man-made. Into that is another argument. Well, if it's always changing, then it can always change for the worse too. So let's get a hold on it now. And that also can be tied in with the first one, transform anomalous rule at the same time, because we're talking about wars right now. Well, let's talk about surviving the planet's mechanisms. Next, a sober dialogue with the public about space. And when we talk about public, let's talk about religion and their absence of space talk. There's the idea that the earth is ours forever, the meek shall inherit the earth. And what's the point if it is going to be destroyed by a galactic collision in some billions of years, or suffer a loss to an exploding star, being the sun? It is technically impossible to stay on this planet forever. And we need a real talk about why we don't talk about this. Next, direct the Singularity, which is upcoming. And on that note, I would also like to mention that robots are often regarded as the Terminator-style robots we see. They're very mechanic, and if you've seen Rogue One, they're kind of fun sometimes too. They can be kind of dangerous. But when we talk about the Singularity, we're talking about merging mankind with the robots, and we're talking about cyborgs, and we're talking about the whole purpose of it all. Is I read from one of my favorite AI pioneers, Ray Kurzweil, it says that robots and humans merging and the cyborgs is less about being like this crazy cyborg creature and more about things like cancer and diabetes and illnesses that the human body is prone to, and preventing those is really the Singularity. However, if we rush into it, that's our end game. Rushing in with the cyborgs is an end game. However, along its intents and purposes is beauty, like butterflies. Next, end world hunger. It costs less than $1 billion to end world hunger. The nuclear arms race that we referred to earlier is a $1 trillion investment. We invest $1 trillion on all kinds of things all the time. Globally, less than $1 billion ends world hunger. And we can start transforming that anomaly rule about world hunger now with less than $1 billion. So the next few days, take care of that. Next, calculate the purpose we fulfill. And this also ties in with religion. Purpose is a big empty void that we have in religion. It's often taught that we live, we die, and the point is to go to a better place in the afterlife. Well, that's all well and good. Let's not argue that. Let's just talk about, the mechanism of Earth and the ecosystem and how we fit into that and what our purpose is and has been here. And not just talking about it, but actually taking some data, really looking at our history and really bringing up points about how we've made an impact and in what ways and where we're going with that. And then we'll start to talk about that empty void that religion fills in our minds, which is, what is the purpose of mankind? And we can get down to that now. We can take a look at it. And furthermore, we can set our purpose if we really desire it. Next, a Dyson sphere. This is my favorite. A Dyson sphere is essentially a giant contraption that you can place around your sun. As some of you may know, the sun produces like 86 million times the amount of energy that we really need on planet Earth. And a Dyson sphere essentially captures that energy so that we can utilize it. In my personal idea, and maybe even a way that we can fulfill a purpose and provide a service in the universe is maybe our Dyson sphere can figure out a way to actually give longevity to our sun. So in that way, our planet is never really in peril of, nebula explosion or whatever, or quasar happening with our sun after we build our Dyson sphere, because we'll stabilize it. And going further, maybe we could keep our universe light. Let's go. We'll see. Next, the things to accomplish in the next few days. Modernize education for all. And when I say modernize education for all, I'm talking about internet reach for everybody. And Elon Musk, with his solar-powered airplanes and everything, thinks that, we can just fly airplanes that go for years at a time in the sky carrying Wi-Fi, so that these remote places that have never had internet before have internet now. Like in the Afro-Mexicans who were imported from Africa to Mexico and were disconnected from their cultural dance, and they got a little internet going, and they researched themselves and they found these dances that they had, and now they tour around in the Mexican region and do their dance, which is beautiful. So that's why we need to modernize education for all, bring internet everywhere, and then information is there. We can start lifting ourselves up and reconnecting with our cultures and designing our new ones. Next, build a societal mirror. This is a paradigm point. This also ties in with Singularity, where it's never before have we actually been able to observe ourselves. And I'm going to use Aleppo, in peace to the Alibid family, as an example of that. Whereas there was a genocide occurring on their land, which is something that is nothing new, but there was live tweeting from the genocide, and that's sort of like a societal mirror component. This is where the singularity is already happening right now, where we're kind of, we're on that evolution stepping block, where it's first step, Neanderthal, and the next step, Homo sapien, and then the next step, question mark. We're on that next step, and to take the next step, we need that societal mirror. We look at the human race and say, okay, what is this? What is our purpose? What is our root? Where are we going with the Singularity? Fill that in the next few days. And after that, reinvent water. Reinvent water so that Flint, Michigan has water, so that there's no mega drought in California, so that suppose a sweltering heat island just hovers above Russia for a while, there's going to be plenty of water to go around. People aren't drinking too much vodka trying to skip the really heat wave. And reinventing water means my favorite concept, the microbial fuel cell being developed which creates energy at the same time. And basically, I mean to just say we need new ways to like figure out our water stuff. You know, like the irrigation and all that. That's like some Roman stuff. They built that forever ago. What's next? Next, adopt a global language. And now that we're all on the internet and everything, you know, for example, in the live tweets from the Aleppo genocide, language barriers and Arabic is how these people speak. So when they live tweet, there's a lot of English going on. So there's bilingual elements to the human race. And earlier and earlier, we're learning bilingual languages. Some elementary schools have second languages as part of their curriculum, and it totally works. And as children grow older, having a second language, it actually works on that way too. And so now we could actually talk about, all right, globally, how are we all going to speak to each other? What's our way? Inventing a new language is an idea. No. In English is actually not gonna be the global language. It's too simple. There's a lot of confusion in it. I've heard France has a good one. French. And Spanish seems to be popular. English is a great language. I love English. I speak English. However, I recognize that it is simplified and often confusing when you have one word that means many things. For example, fuck. What does it really mean? All kinds of stuff. It's a verb, it's a noun, it's a pronoun, whatever. Anyway, next one. Design an ID representing humans in all that we're about. And this goes into the sober dialogue with the public about space. And when it comes to being on a planet in space, we're kind of just scrambling around trying to figure our way to heaven and hell right now. What we need is accurate representation as humans, where we can say, this is what we're about, this is what we're on the planet doing, this is what we've been done, this is how our stuff goes, what's up? We don't have like a little name tag yet that says that. And it'd be important too. And I'm just gonna go ahead and slide right in here too. I love the idea of like an intergalactic arc. I just want to take DNA samples of everything and put it on a satellite and just send it way, way, way out. In the event that something might find it and want to know about us, we would put our ID in that arc, and then whatever finds it would know about us. Next, describe our relations as the dominant species, and this kind of comes to terms with building that socialite mirror. There's a lot of animals on Earth, and we're no different. Brain, spine, nerves. But we are different. Language, intellect, consciousness. But we relate in the ecosystem. And how we relate in the ecosystem is sometimes described as parasitic, and I don't like that. What I like is the fungal description. Sometimes, as the dominant species, we may be more like a fungus. I mean, when's the last time you've seen a parasite attempt to remedy the situation and fix things and actually succeed in bettering the whole development. For example, if the human race were to quit the land spread right now, and then we take our 7 billion humans into vertical cities, we start building upward, we use less land, and then you get that whole idea where humans went extinct or whatever, and then we have that concept that it wouldn't take too long for the planet to rebuild itself. And if we were to all venture in the vertical cities and stop the squalor of the land, then there would be that rebuilding of the land that it will have naturally. And so when we describe our relations as the dominant species right now, it's kind of like scorched earth, motherfucker. But right here, we could talk about controlling the climate and controlling our presence with the ecosystem. And to do that, we would really have to come to grips with, like, okay, this is what we're doing now. Is this what we want? And lastly, check the population. I don't mean that crazy, like, New World Order, like, population reduction kind of stuff, or they just want to bring everybody back down to what, like 500 million souls or something like that. No, I'm talking about there's supposedly, I don't know, like a few hundred people on Earth right now that they say will live to see 200 years of life just because we're getting to that point. And when you think about it, if we're there now, well, then by the time, I'm 33 right now, right? And if I was going to be 200, I would be 200 because, the wine is good, the water is good, the environment's good. We're all built for 200 years of life. So you can imagine that over the next 170 years of my life, we would figure out a way to make that an 800-year life cycle, 1,000-year life cycle. We might even talk about how long do you want to live? 15,000 years? 30,000 years? And you go ahead and make that decision. So when I mean check the population, I mean 7 billion humans on Earth right now can start thinking about how long exactly do we want to live. And the issue with that, of course, is that when there's 7 billion people on the planet and they're talking about, by 2050 there's going to be 10 billion, we would either have to stop reproducing, figure out a way to, like, feed 10 billion people, or we could start talking about, that real life discussion of, like, okay, well, who wants it, who doesn't want it, how can we make plans about that, and can we, how will we, should we, what's the deal? When we have 7 billion people on the planet and we are discovering ways in the human genome right now to curb aging, go for a long time. So these are my goals for the next few days. Just try and figure this stuff out. One drink at a time. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. And happy holidays, everybody.